Good evening, everyone. I plan to give a little talk about the essential Buddhism. Start next Wednesday. So actually we started last Wednesday, but those 2 days, just the general introduction. So last Wednesday we had a discussion about the 3 branches and the 3 branches of Buddhism, and also different traditions. This evening we'll discuss more the meaning of the Buddhism and how they practice in different traditions. So after that talk, we'll have a little announcement for the schedules and the teachings and so forth. Then we also have meditation as well. So we discussed the 3 traditions or 3 branches, mainly divided by the different languages. Then that's why we call the linguistic branches. For instance, Pali branch, then Tibetan branch, and the Chinese branch. Also those 3 branches we call 3 different traditions: Theravada tradition, Mahayana tradition, and Vajrayana tradition. So all of them in the Sanskrit language. That's all we discussed in the last class. Then also, by the way, I would like to explain that on our website we posted everything. So if you can't, some reason you didn't come to this class, or in the future you can't attend this class, then you can go online and you can find out those audio or the little summary on it, supposedly, then you can find out. So tonight we will discuss the practice or the meaning of those things. So meaning of the Buddhism, mainly we have 2 elements, which is compassion and wisdom. So the compassion part is the compassion has to do with the motivation, with have the way we how to act or behave, and more better or more friendly and nicely. So that's actually is based on the love. That's the compassion. Then the wisdom has to do with our point of view, so our understanding or concept. So no matter which tradition, all of them have those 2 elements, compassion and the wisdom. So compassion is the love. So we always say that's love as a conditional love. We have this love, which is conditional love. So our love is limited. For instance, our friend, our side, we have more love. If somebody is a stranger, or we have negative connections, then we have less love. So that's we consider not as a pure love. So the love, compassion is a pure love, and so also a unconditional love. No matter what kind of feedback that gives to us, then still we have that's love, great love. That's what we call compassion. So compassion, how to behave, that's compassion. two steps. I think we have two steps. The first step is control ourselves. So no harms, non-violent. So that is the first step. Sometime we can help others, or we can do something for the society. Then also they have a good result. Then we're happy. Sometimes we do something good, but the result or the feedback given to us is not so good, not so happy. So then we have less love, I just mentioned. So in this condition, we have that's the first step, first level or first step, which is non-violent. I can't help you, but I promise to not hurt you. So that is the first step. Then second step is furthermore. No matter what kind of situation, I still have that love for you. So that is the second step. Then for the wisdom part, that is the our understanding or our point of view. We always say that Buddhism has two parts. One part is religion and the rituals and practice and so forth. The other part is philosophy, is understanding. His Holiness always say that, even have three parts. One is ritual thing. In temples, especially in Tibetan temple, when you come to Tibetan temple, we have a very colorful altar and decorations. Then also we have a very rich prayers and pujas and everything. When we do pujas, then all monks sitting together and say the prayers and doing lots of different mudras and lots of entertainment. You can enjoy the class. That is the ritual thing. The other thing is faith. You just believe. No matter what kind of teaching you have, you believe. Then that's details later in the class. I would like to go the details, but now just generally speaking. Then the third part is the philosophy part. That's actually no matter your belief or non-belief, or you have a different tradition, we just logically thinking. So all of them sometimes make sense. So that part is the wisdom part. Now, we have three traditions, Theravada tradition and the Mahayana and the Vajrayana tradition. So for me, those traditions are practiced differently. My understanding of them is the first one is we practice those two levels, but the stream is self, oneself. The second level, the stream is others. We changed the stream. The third level is both of them, oneself or others, but we're talking about the efficiency, like do better. The first level, why are we talking about oneself? We have a lot of those concerns. So for instance, we discussed the Four Noble Truths, the suffering and the causes of suffering and cessation of suffering and the past. So those details I just mentioned. I don't want to go through the details. Later we have this chance to discuss more. Those four things are basic practice. No matter you're in the first level, you have to practice those Four Noble Truths. Or in the second level, you still practice. The third level in the Vajrayana tradition, also you have to practice them. But the stream is different. The goal or the target is different, so they practice a little bit differently. Suffering, which is avoid the suffering. We don't want the suffering. So where does the suffering come from? This is the causes of suffering. So then how to get rid of the suffering? That is the past practice. Then after that, then what kind of result we have, which is the cessation of the suffering. So we have a more peaceful life and compassionate life and thankful and satisfaction and contentment and so forth. All of them as a cessation of suffering. When we practice them, the stream is, the first level is oneself. So I'm thinking about, I have lots of suffering. I have to get rid of the sufferings. And I need the peace. I need that's a cessation of the suffering. I have to practice, that is the path and so forth. So that's the stream is always I. So myself, oneself. Then the practice also we call liberation or self-liberation. The understanding is we're in the samsara. Okay? So we have two worlds, samsara and the nirvana. Like for instance, two cities. We're in, that's the city of samsara. We're going to the city of nirvana. So where is the city limit? The city limit is liberation. So if we think that is a good, that is very wonderful and thankful, and we're very satisfied, happy, then we're in the almost the next city. We're in the nirvana. If we think, oh, everything is horrible, terrible, always I have this problem, I have this suffering, why I have this suffering, why that's all come to me, and so forth. When we have that thing, then we're still in the samsara. So the idea is we have to change our thought. We are going to the next city or next place, better place, which is nirvana. So that's then also we have lots of levels and the practices. However, all of them, the stream is the oneself. Second level, we're thinking about the others. Others is important than us. That is the bodhisattva, way of bodhisattva. So think about the others, then we're thinking how every day we're thinking about ourselves. That's we're getting used to it. Sometimes we do think about the others, but really we sit down and we deeply think about that. We really always thinking about ourselves, but we have a less concern for others. So we have to do more for others. We have to concern more for others. This is the second level. That level is very, very profound. When we discuss, that's easy. When we start the practice, that's very difficult. So that's why we have a two-way to generate the compassion. But the first thing today, just generally, I will talk about the exchange, that's practice. Exchange oneself to others. Or in Tibetan, we call it Donglen. When you translate it, it's called Tonglen. Instead, you use D, but they use T, so that's why Tonglen. Actually, because the English, the letters, I don't know how this works, but for me, sometimes, for instance, we say green Tara, right? So actually, it's green Dara. In Tibetan, not is Ta, actually is a Da. When you say Dara, then confuse people. They say Dara? There's another deity or something? Then say, no, Tara. Oh, Tara, you talking about the Tara? Actually, it's a Dara, but we say Tara, like tomato and tomato, right? So when you say that's Donglen, also same thing. Donglen, Dong means like giving. Len is taking. So when you say Donglen, this Donglen practice, there's another practice. When you say Tonglen practice, oh, I see, Tonglen practice, that's I know, I learned. So anyway, that's a letter, but the idea is giving and taking. Giving and taking, so give what? Give the happiness, give the compassion to others. Take their suffering. That's really a practice you can physically practice or mentally, mostly mentally, meditation, through the meditation practice. Sometimes the physical practice, for instance, if somebody have difficulties or something, then you can give that person opportunity or help, or give some kind of life support, all of them as giving. When you give this thing, so the practice, they said, not just generally give something, but in your motivation, you have to think and practice the generating the compassion or the bodhisattva practice. So that's why we give this one to you. That will have a merit. That's merit also I can give to you. We always thinking something, the feedback give to me, which is good, or something we're expecting. Even we give meals to somebody, we're expecting a thank or gift card from this person, right? So that's a bodhisattva practice. They said no, without those expectation, just give something without any expectations. So we give giving, and when we give something, physically give help or volunteer things and doing something, just generally give to that person, not expecting something. In mind, the motivation will practice the compassion, so giving like that. Taking also, when somebody have difficulties, sometimes you can do, sometimes you can do, sometimes you can't do it. For instance, this person have a difficulty, need help, maybe have lots of sufferings, then we give support to this person, and difficulties or that's a complication maybe go away. So maybe that's, in this case, we can say we're taking their suffering away. If that person has a very serious illness, not a serious illness, if that person have an illness or something, we taking that illness away is difficult. Unless you're a good doctor, maybe then you can give medicine or give something. Otherwise, you can't do it. But sometimes you can do, sometimes you can't do. Then what we should do, we practice, mentally practice. So mentally practice, that's also very helpful. For somebody, we can do that. Giving something to the person, we take their suffering away through me, through my body. Sometimes we have illness. Then what do you think? If you have this illness, then you think you're blaming yourself and blaming some other situation. That's difficult. So why this come to me? Why this horrible thing come to me? That's just my karma. Oh, that's terrible. Then become more burden, more difficult. If you think, oh, this is the chance, I can practice the Donglen, like giving and taking. I give that's a good opportunity to do to that person. I only have a chance to practice, take this person's suffering away. That's mental practice. Then the wisdom part. Wisdom part, actually, we have two levels. In things and the creatures and those all phenomena, those two things. So the creatures, or sometimes even not the creature, like trees and the plants, the trees and flowers and grasses, those we consider, we the Buddhist idea is the trees have a life, that's true, but they don't have a consciousness. So different is the creatures have a life and a consciousness, but tree doesn't have a consciousness. So our understanding is the tree, if you cut the tree, tree will die. If you cultivate this tree, tree will grow. However, that the tree doesn't have a feeling. The person or the animal or the creatures have this feeling as well. So that's a feeling is feeling better or feeling worse or the apathy, nothing. Like we always say, oh, I'm happy or I'm not happy or it doesn't matter. That's kind of a feeling we have. I don't know if trees have this feeling or not. So the Buddhist idea is the tree doesn't have this kind of feeling, but that tree have a life. Okay. So those creatures or those trees has that connection to grow or change. That's what we call dependent arise or dependent origination. You have to have something, then that's all change, the conditional change. For instance, you put the seed will grow. Then later, that's tree, the seed will become another seed. So until they become a seed, not directly you put the seed, there's the seed come out. No, that's have lots of steps and procedures to go through it. If you put the seed, that's a come out, not a seed, it's a green, like shoots, or then that's become like a tree, then even have green leaves, then have flowers, then finally you have a seed. So that's have lots of different steps to develop and change. That's what we call dependent origination or dependent arising. So the things, all the phenomena or the matters, those are not like the tree. So for instance, that's a sky. How to describe that's a sky? It's just a space, endless space. If a tree, you can point it, this is a tree, what kind of tree, you can give name and so forth. Sky, you can't say that's, which kind of sky, you can't say. However, we have that's a relative, also a kind of dependent origination, but that's relative existence that in Tibetan called Denjung Dudru. There are two things. Denjung is or the dependent arising, that is Denjung. So you have to count on something, then you will grow or you will change. So the other one is relative establishment. So something going to happen, but they relatively connect to each other, then that's going to happen. For instance, I just mentioned that's the sky. So sky, we also say, oh, it's a blue sky. Or say, oh, that's a gray kind of pollution or something, that's a gray sky. Okay. So then also we call the sky, maybe say east side and the different directions, east side, west side. Those are, relative establishment, we call. Then, not only at the sky, some things, some matters. For instance, we say long and short. There's no definition of long, no definition of short. That's just a comparison. You compare this one, that one is longer than this one. So otherwise, there's no definite long or no definite short. Then same thing, clean or not clean, coming or going. That's all, there's no definite thing, that's comparing. So all of them called the relative establishment. So So all things, matters, and the creatures, and the living beings, and the grass, and the trees, and so forth, all of them has their own rules. When you analyze them, when you understand that, so that is the wisdom part. Now we practice those things in the 3 levels. How? I just mentioned that the first level, the stream is the oneself. We have to practice the love, however, kind of love our own ourself. I have lots of suffering. I can't deal with those suffering. I have to liberate it from the suffering. So that's the stream, or the target is oneself. The second level is others. We're thinking about others. Because of others, why have those suffering? Depending on the origination, relative establishment. And then how to practice the compassion. 2 levels I mentioned. The first level, maybe non-violent and peace. The second level, more compassion and loving kindness. Then the real practice is the Donglen or Tonglen, which is giving and taking. Then the third level, the Vajrayana. Vajrayana, that understanding of this Vajrayana, sometimes have a little bit of confusion of the Vajrayana. So Vajrayana we also call Tantra. So the Tantra, literally, the translation is a secret practice. When you say secret practice, then you have a more like, mystery on that. So secret doing what? Then also we have different those Buddha statues and everything. Then have a little bit different explanation. Then have a very confusing people. But my understanding, the Tantra is in Sutra and Tantra, that's the level is different. In the Sutra part, that's no matter the first level, Theravada tradition and the Mahayana tradition, the practice, the whole thing called the Sutra. Then the Vajrayana practice, this whole thing called the Tantra practice. When you move to this Tantra practice, that's very different. For instance, the terms are also can change. In terms, in the Sutra practice, we call Buddha, and then the place called Pure Land, Buddha, Pure Land. Then the result, maybe result is enlightenment, and so forth. In Tantra practice, that's a place we call mandala. Then the person we call, the practice Buddha, we call the chosen deity. Which deity fit for your practice, then you choose one, or your teacher can give you a suggestion. So that is the chosen deity. So practice, that's one. Then the result is Vajratara, so the higher. The understanding of that, for instance, in the Sutra part, when we practice, I just mentioned, we're in samsara, in this place. We're going to nirvana, that place. So there's a distance. Where's nirvana? Very difficult to describe. Maybe in different world, maybe in the next lifetime at least, we can get in nirvana. This lifetime, I can't get in nirvana. The nirvana is like almost as a description of the, describe nirvana as like a heaven. So heaven. So we say heaven. Where's heaven? Very difficult to get in heaven, right? So the scientists can continue to keep finding different planets and everything, but never they find the heaven. So where's the heaven? Very difficult to find, right? Nirvana just like that's nirvana. Where's nirvana? Very difficult to find. However, one explanation said the nirvana and samsara, all of them in our mind. So the mind stage, they change. So nirvana. Anyway, nirvana still have a distance. The Buddha and the person practitioner also have a distance. I'm a person, I practice. Later, I will be enlightenment. I will be become Buddha. So that's have this distance. Then, for the Tantra practice, that's different. Tantra practice, we have to think about that. So, then I mentioned, Buddha and Bodhisattva, and that's a place called Pure Land. In Tantra practice, the Buddha, we call it chosen deity. Okay, chosen deity, which deity you fit for your practice, you take this one, then chosen deity. Then all Bodhisattva is surrounding of you, those all community as a Bodhisattva. You have to practice all of them as a Bodhisattva. Then the place where we get there, so which called mandala. Right? So how? The idea is we have a responsibility to change that society to a pure land. We have this responsibility to change ourselves and the others to a bodhisattva. So that is the Tantra practice. Later, I will explain those things. Anyway, all of them, for me, the Buddhist practice, very, very profound and perfectly fit my practice.